Hi folks, today I've got the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Dave Friedman, who is certainly not a stranger to my audience and the guitar community in general. Dave's been in the industry for a very long time, and his amplifiers are highly renowned by many players and great sounding stuff. And from what I know from you, Dave, when you get into something, you have a passion for it, whatever it is.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
I've got that same personality, and it really reflects in the products that you're producing. You're making some of the greatest stuff that I've heard. Something that I really do like about your amplifiers and what they bring to the table is some of the characteristics of having a feel to them. There's a percussiveness to when you're playing with your amplifiers.
Absolutely, yeah. Feel is very important when I'm designing an amplifier, how it feels under that fingertips and stuff,
Is there something in general when you're doing an amplifier that you focus on, and one of the parts of the amplifier that is very crucial to get that feel?
It's hard to describe, really. I've voiced most of them at kind of lower volumes, and I kind of establish how it feels at lower volumes.
Right.
And then when you turn it up, it always sounds good. If you voice something at louder volumes, it tends not to sound good at lower volumes. So there's just some little bit of magic in a few places where, to make it feel right.
So you mentioned lower volume. That's another thing I really like about your products is the master volume that you incorporate with your amps is very transparent, meaning that when I'm able to go down in volume, I'm not losing the characteristics of my tone.
No, you can play in a bedroom, at bedroom volume and still sound great.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's a major characteristic that I love about your amp. With that said, I'd like to have you run through some of the new amps that you have in 2020, and we'll present it to our audience.
Absolutely. So here we have the new twin sister amp. So as you see, it looks like the Dirty Shirley amplifier, if you're familiar with that. So it's Dirty Shirley's twin sister, meaning there's two channels, two identical clone channels. So on each of these channels have gain structure switches, so you can set it up for any amounts of gain. So from higher gain to mid gain to clean. So you can set either channel however you like, depending on what you're using and your playing style and your gig. Also on the amp, we added a deep knob now, and the deep knob it used to be preset internally. Now it's variable, so you can kind of roll out low end or give it more depending on where you're playing.
So would that be like your thumb?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
And then we added two bright switches also, which tighten up the low end a little, give it a little bit of a high mid bump. Okay. Just if you did want to play this amp a little more aggressively than the original, you could. It still has a tube rectifier, squishy feel to it. It's still that classic kind of round. If you're a Strat or Tele player or something, it's an amazing amp for you.
Awesome.
But it works with humbuckers too.
And the fact that it has two identical channels, you could set one up for maybe a cleaner sound and your other channel as a more higher rocking type.
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
You could switch between.
Or anywhere in between. So if you wanted a semi-gritty channel and a grittier channel, you got it.
Right.
If you wanted one really drivey and one really clean, you got it.
Perfect.
You can do whatever you want. What's better than twin sisters?
Absolutely. What's the wattage of this amp?
It's a 40 to 50 watts.
Okay.
We call it 40, but it's probably 50.
Yeah, but it pushes, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then moving on, we have a new updated SS100 amplifier. So this is, Steve Stevens was our original artist amp that we did, the very first guy when I started doing this company. So we decided for 2020 to give it an all new look and some new updates. So obviously went with a blacked out look now with a jewel light. He still has his little ray gun insignia on the front. The amp now has a system master volume, which means power amp master volume. So it takes all three channels up and down. And so if you're quick changes on stage, you can just change the relationship,
Right.
How loud, how quiet. We also have a thump knob on it now, like the BE Deluxe has. So now that's variable. And then what we did is on the lead channel, we added a separate gain and master. So as you see, there's two gains, two master volumes on here. Shares an EQ. And the overdrive channels are a little updated from what they used to be. So we tweaked them slightly, made a few little update changes for 2020, a little tighter, maybe a little more percussive now than it was. And the clean channel remains the same great SS100 high headroom clean channel that we had.
Okay.
So there's that.
Very cool.
And then moving on down here, we have a limited edition Jakey Lee signature amplifier. So over the course of the last year, I worked with Jakey Lee while he was touring on a new signature amplifier that we were going to do. He loved the prototypes and things I made so much that he was into doing something. He's never had anything like this before. So this basically kind of captures all the tones he's sort of used over the years in all the different bands. The channel 1 is a sort of like a plexi channel,
Okay.
which he, of course, runs on 10. Most people won't. And the gain on that would be, somewhere in the AC/DC territory,
Right.
punchy and really good.
Rhythm.
And then the drive channel has 2 gain structures. So to the left here, the channel is sort of highly optimized, sort of 800-esque circuit, like a really good one.
Right.
And then there's a higher gain mode that is sort of like that captures that early Ozzy sort of tones that he got on record. A series effects loop, 100-watt amplifier, limited edition, 50 in the U.S. in red, signed.
Wow.
So 50 in Europe also.
So only 100 in total.
Only 100 in total in the red motif, signed. And we'll see in the future what happens from there.
Right, yeah. From there.
And then there's one other thing. We have a new pedal.
Okay.
The new pedal we have this year is our small box pedal. So the small box is a really popular amplifier of ours that has a plexi channel and a higher gain channel in it. And I set out to mimic the tone of that amp.
Okay.
So essentially this pedal has bass, treble, mid, volume, presence, gain, so all the typical controls of an amplifier. Also has a gain structure switch on the side, kind of limits how much gain this pedal will get.
Very nice.
In like a quarter way up on this pedal, it's like our plexi channel on 10. It'll do just the light gain, AC/DC sort of stuff. And as you pull it up, it does the other channel on the amplifier. The structure switch basically gives you, if you're going to mostly play in lower gain modes, you flip the structure switch up, and the range that this gain pot will get is less.
Okay.
So you might not notice that switch working when it's down low,
Right.
but you'll notice that the top that it goes to is less when it's down.
having it down, right.
So it gives you a little bit bigger play with the knob. When you're trying to dial in the tone you want.
Yeah.
It'll work into a clean amp, or it'll work as a boost into an already crunchy amp too. So your choice.
Cool.
If you have kind of a scooped amp, the mid-range has a nice mid-range pop when you turn it up higher. That works really well. If not, you can just take it out.
Right. And then this pedal, is it available now, or is it shipping?
Within second quarter, I think.
Second quarter. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
The other amp should be first quarter.
First quarter?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, folks, so you heard it right from the man himself. Some great products coming out in 2020 for Friedman application. I know my audience will really appreciate the information.
Yeah.
Dave, thank you
Awesome.
very much for taking the time. And I know you've been a busy man this week.
Yep.
Get some rest.
All right, man, I will.
All right.